Hello students, let us discuss short questions and long questions from the chapter Towards a Sustainable Future from ICSE Environmental Science. And the first question is, what is global interdependence? So global interdependence is worldwide mutual dependence between countries like developed countries, developing countries, poor countries. One nation depends on another for something. For example, the importing and exporting of products and services. Nations are mutually dependent on each other for economic development and are mutually responsible for the problems of environmental pollution and degradation. Example, oil and natural gas have created global interdependence between the major producing nations and those that do not have enough oil. Define sustainable development. Sustainable development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. There are some examples. First is using recycled materials or renewable resources when building or constructing house. Development without destroying the ecosystem or harming the environment. So these two are the examples of sustainable development. Next question, what was the principal theme of Earth Summit? The first International Earth Summit was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992, and the summit was convened for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level, and it brought together the members of the international community to discuss important issues related to international protection and socio-economic development. What are the features of Agenda 21? So Agenda 21 is the international plan of action to sustainable development, and it has become the blueprint for sustainability and forms the basis for sustainable development strategies. Coming to the features of Agenda 21, it includes social and economic dimensions including developing countries, poverty, consumption pattern, population, health, human settlements, integrating environment and development. It also includes conservation and management of resources, and it includes strengthening the role of major groups such as women, children and youth. And it also includes means of implementation of finance, technology transfer, science, education, capacity building, international institutions, legal measures and information. What is the Montreal Protocol? So Montreal Protocol is the connection between ozone layer depletion and ultraviolet radiation. The Montreal Protocol is an international treaty designed to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production of numerous substances that are responsible for ozone depletion, and it was signed in 16 September 1987 and effective on 1st January 1989, and the location was Montreal, Canada. ODS, that is the ozone depleting substances. Examples are CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbons, halogens, carbon tetrachloride, methyl chloroform. What is the Kyoto Protocol? The Kyoto Protocol to reduce the GHG, that is greenhouse gases, and the location was the Kyoto, Japan. It was signed on 11 December 1997 and implemented on 16 February 2005. GHG, that is greenhouse gases. Examples are carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor. The Kyoto Treaty, created by the United Nations in 1997 to combat the problem of greenhouse gas. Major gas was the carbon emission. The protocol focused on developed nations as being the primary sources of carbon emissions and exempted developing nations from the protocol's requirements. Name 4 principles of sustainable development. The principles of sustainable development are: first, respect and care for all forms of life. Second, improve the quality of human life. Third, minimize the depletion of natural resources. Fourth, conserve the earth's vitality and diversity. Enable communities to care for their own environment. Next question, what is remote sensing? Remote sensing acquiring information from a distance. And what are sensors? Sensors are devices that detect the changes in the environment and responds to some output on the other system. A sensor converts a physical phenomena into an analog voltage or digital signature in human readable form. Remote sensing satellite device sent into space which uses sensors to collect information about Earth atmosphere, ocean, land and ice surfaces. Sensors mounted on the satellites gather electromagnetic energy, all the different kinds of energy released into the space by star such as the sun, which are reflected, emitted or scattered from part of the Earth atmosphere system below the satellite, and the information is called in two-dimensional form, or information is collected in two-dimensional form, either in the form of photographic image or as an array of digital data. Give two advantages of satellite imagery. Satellite imagery has important applications in the continuous monitoring of the global environment. First advantage, the range of environmental uses of satellites goes far beyond weather forecasting and human-made disaster monitoring. Second advantage, satellite images have applications in oceanography, fishery, agriculture, biotechnology, biodiversity, forestry, etc. Next question, what do you understand about biotechnology and what is the need of biotechnology? So biotechnology is life science which generally deals with the study of living organisms, and biotechnology is also known as biological technology. It is an application of biology and other different techniques to change or modify product for specific human use. Importance of biotechnology in human life. Biotechnology plays a very important role in the human welfare and has revolutionized mankind since its existence. It contributes much towards the human welfare and their health needs. In the field of medicines, biotechnology is widely used in the development of several innovative techniques for diagnosing, treating and preventing diseases. Biotechnology develops the process of the micropropagation system, that is a new method of plant breeding for producing many new plant species and new varieties with highly desirable characteristics. Biotechnology is also involved in controlling environmental pollution through biodegradation of potential pollutants, recycling of waste and other waste treatment technologies. Now coming to the long answer questions, the Earth Summit recently organized was not successful in its objectives. Briefly explain the conflict between developed and developing nations in context to the above statement. The Earth Summit. The first International Earth Summit was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992, and the summit was convened for addressing urgent problems of environmental protection and socio-economic development at the global level. It brought together the members of the international community to discuss important issues related to environmental protection and socio-economic development. Government officials from 178 countries participated in the Earth Summit to discuss solutions for global problems such as poverty, war, the growing gap between industrialized and developing countries. The main concern was how to improve the state of the world's environmental system by introducing the Sustainable Development Model. The Earth Summit recently organized was not successful in its objectives because the majority of the Rio Summit output documents are not legally binding, which means that they are not required, and as a result they have not accomplished their goals. This is the main reason for summit failure. The summit message was that nothing less than a transformation of our attitude and behavior would bring about the necessary changes around the world. The poverty as well as excessive consumption by affluent population place damaging stress on the environment. Critics point out that many of the agreements made in Rio have not been realized regarding such fundamental issues as fighting poverty and cleaning up the environment. Write briefly about the UN's International Conference on Population and Development, Cairo. The 1994 International Conference on Population and Development, that is ICPD, in Cairo was a milestone in the history of population and development as well as in the history of women's rights. A total of 179 governments signed up to the ICPD program of action. At the conference, the world agreed the population is not just about counting people, but making sure everyone has access to proper living. ICPD delegates reached a consensus that the equality and empowerment of women should be a global priority. This approach is not only from the point of view of universal human rights, but also as an essential step towards eradicating poverty and stabilizing population growth. A woman's ability to access reproductive health and rights is essential for her empowerment, and it is also the key to sustainable development. The main objectives of ICPD provide universal access to family planning and sexual and reproductive health services and reproductive rights for women. Next, deliver gender equality, empowerment of women, and equal access to education for girls. Next, address the individual, social, and economic impact of urbanization and migration. And the next is support sustainable development and environmental issues associated with the population changes. Next question is, what is the potential of biotechnology in sustaining agriculture? Now coming to the potential of biotechnology in sustaining agriculture, first is declining soil fertility. It is perhaps the single biggest challenge to sustainable agriculture in developing countries. Unless it is rectified, the prospects for meeting the increasing demand for food production and the desired level of income generation for the future are very bleak. Stress tolerance in crops. Crop stress tolerance have always been crucial to agriculture, but over the past few decades, it has become even more crucial in developing nations. The effects of drought, heat, waterlogging, and new or exacerbated pests and diseases have all increased along with the climatic variability. Agriculture faces a severe water shortage, so it is crucial to use farming practices and crop varieties that are more efficient at using water. No one will go hungry. Customized food will contain extra nutrients to improve our health or fend off diseases, and farmers will produce the raw material for plant-based industrial stock, fuels, antibiotics, and a wide range of other products in addition to food, according to the golden age of agriculture predicted by biotechnology. Unique opportunities are presented by biotechnology to improve the quantity, quality, and consistency of the food supply. Next question, cite some examples of appropriate technologies for sustainable development and explain them. Now, appropriate technology is used to solve technological problems throughout the world by providing sustainable solutions which are beneficial to the local community and which are sensitive to the need to reduce environmental pollution by using renewable sources of energy and recycling materials wherever possible. And some appropriate technologies for sustainable development are satellite imagery and use of biotechnology. So, satellite imagery as a mean of monitoring the global environment, and it is a device sent into space which uses sensors to collect information about Earth's atmosphere, ocean, land, and ice surfaces. Sensors mounted on the satellites gather electromagnetic energy which are reflected, emitted, or backscattered from part of the Earth atmosphere system below the satellite. Satellite imagery has important applications in the continuous monitoring of the global environment. First application, the range of environmental uses of satellite goes far beyond weather forecasting and human-made disaster monitoring. Satellite images have applications in oceanography, fishery, agriculture, biotechnology, biodiversity, forestry. Second, appropriate technology for sustainable development is role of biotechnology or the use of biotechnology. So, biotechnology is life science which generally deals with the study of living organisms. It is an application of biology and other different techniques to change or modify products for specific human use. Biotechnology is also known as biological technology. Importance of biotechnology in human life. Biotechnology plays a very important role in human welfare and has revolutionized mankind since its existence. It contributes much towards the human welfare and their health needs. In the field of medicines, biotechnology is widely used in the development of several innovative techniques for diagnosing, treating, and preventing diseases. Biotechnology develops the process of the micropropagation system, a new method of plant breeding for producing many new plant species and new varieties with highly desirable characteristics. And biotechnology is also involved in controlling environmental pollution through biodegradation of potential pollutants, recycling of waste, and other waste treatment technologies. Next question is, what is the importance of Montreal Protocol and Kyoto Treaty? The Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer is an important multilateral agreement resulting the production, consumption and emission of ozone depleting substances, that is ODS. It is an important part of international environmental conventions and protocols. Importance of Montreal Protocol. The Montreal Protocol has been largely successful in setting out to achieve its mission of reversing the damage done due to the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol has been largely successful in setting out to achieve its mission of reversing the damage done to the ozone layer. Second importance, it has been considered the most successful international environmental action taken by countries. Third, the protocol has been successful in leveling off or decreasing the atmospheric concentrations of the most important chlorofluorocarbons and related chlorinated hydrocarbons. Fourth, the protocol has successfully sent clear signal to the global market. Next, the full implementation of the Montreal Protocol is expected to help in the avoidance of over 280 million skin cancer incidents, almost 1.6 million deaths due to skin cancer, and millions of cases of cataracts. Next advantage, with the protocol, the ozone layer is expected to recover by the year 2050. Next advantage, the Montreal Protocol is also helping fight climate change because most of the ODs, that is the ozone depleting substances, are also greenhouse gases. Next, it is estimated that from 1990 to 2010, the protocol has helped reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the equivalent of 135 gigatons of carbon dioxide, the equivalent of 11 gigatons a year. Kyoto Treaty. It is an international treaty to reduce greenhouse emissions. Kyoto Treaty or Kyoto Protocol applies to 6 greenhouse gases, that is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur, hexafluoride. It is an extension to the 1992 UNFCCC. Importance of Kyoto Treaty. The Kyoto Protocol operationalize the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change by committing industrialized countries and economies in transition to limit and reduce greenhouse gases emission. The main goal of the Kyoto Protocol was to control emissions of the main anthropogenic, that is the human emitted greenhouse gases. The protocol called for reducing the emission of 6 greenhouse gases in 41 countries plus the European Union to 5.2% below 1990 levels. It was widely hailed as the most significant environmental treaty ever negotiated. Next question is, remote sensing satellites have played an important role in collecting information over the past few decades. Suggest 5 reasons for the popularity of this form of technology. Remote sensing satellite, it is a device sent into the space which uses sensors to collect information about Earth's atmosphere, ocean, land and ice surfaces. So, information is collected in 2-dimensional form, either in the form of photographic image or as an array of digital data. 5 reasons for the popularity of remote sensing satellites are: first, data coverage in remote lands, ocean, ice area. Second, homogeneity, information collected in the form of consistent data. Computer processing, digital data is produced which is suitable for direct computer processing. saves time and manual calculation. Frequency of data collection for accuracy of information. Less time based. Cover a large area at high speed. Complementarily removes the need of ground check at huge cost and time. Next question. Describe any 5 ways by which trade and aid can reduce inequalities between nations. The exchange of goods and services between nations is referred to as trade. Developed nations typically export expensive manufactured goods like electronics and cars and import less expensive primary goods like tea and coffee. The reverse is true in developing nations. Because of their low purchasing power, developing nations find it challenging to pay off their debts and rise above poverty. International trade has greatly benefited global citizens by increasing economic efficiency, consumer purchasing power, and product varieties. Overall, international trade has contributed to lift millions of people out of poverty and reduce inequality between rich and poor nations. The international community has made important progress in helping those in need of relief from poverty. The least developed countries, geographically isolated developing nations, and small island developing states, which are the most vulnerable, continue to make progress in reducing poverty. Now, cases of inequality in trade are: first, developed nations occasionally impose tariffs on imports. Tariffs are levied taxes on imports that drive up the cost of foreign goods for consumers. Second, on occasion, developed nations impose import quotas. Quotas are restrictions on the volume of imported goods and they typically benefit developed nations. 5 ways by which trade and aid can reduce inequalities between nations. First, to reduce inequality, policies should be universal in principle, paying attention to the needs of disadvantaged and marginalized populations. Second, there needs to be an increase in duty-free treatment and continuation of favoring exports from developing countries. Third, innovations in technology can help reduce the cost of transferring money for migrant workers. Fourth, income differences can be reduced via redistribution through taxes and benefits. This not only increases global inequality but also means that a higher proportion of public expenditure has to be funded by taxpayers in lower income groups. Fifth is in the developing and emerging economies, both greater equality and improvements in standards of living are needed for population to flourish. Next question, describe any 3 ways by which international cooperation can help in achieving a sustainable future. Sustainability improves the quality of our lives, protect our ecosystem and preserve natural resources for future generations. In order to achieve a sustainable future with the help of international cooperation, many protocols or treaties are signed by the United Nations from time to time, and they are Montreal Protocol, that is the connection between ozone layer depletion and ultraviolet radiation, and it was an international treaty designed to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production of numerous substances that are responsible for ozone depletion. So, as you already read that it was signed in 16 September 1987 and implemented on 1st January 1989. Location was Montreal, that is in Canada. And again the Kyoto Treaty, again you have read about the Kyoto Treaty, followed by the Earth Summit. You have already read about the Earth Summit and their achievements. Signed the Convention on Climate Change. Here we are talking about the Earth Summit, the achievements of Earth Summit. First, signed the Convention on Climate Change. Second, Convention on Biological Diversity. Third, Agreement on Climate Change Convention, which in turn led to Kyoto Protocol. Fourth, UN Convention to Combat Desertification. Fifth, Agenda 21, that is the action plan of UN with regard to sustainable development, and the issued address during the Earth Summit, alternative sources of energy to replace fossil fuel, reliance on public transport system, the growing scarcity of water. So that's all for today. So we have covered all possible question and answers from the chapter Towards a Sustainable Future, ICSE Environmental Science. So please like, share and subscribe my channel. Till then, happy learning, bye bye, and all the very best for your board examination.